Offending Treatment Center. Mike, thank you for having us. I appreciate it. So to answer the question in regards to treatment, Crown Street will not, there will absolutely be no treatment services at that specific location. Treatment services are located elsewhere. I guess you're right, it is a step-down program. We are a national organization, so we provide services nationally, all levels of care for treatment. So we treat individuals who are suffering from substance use disorder and also mental health. Here in Pennsylvania, our goal is to treat substance use disorder. Crown Street would be a residence that they would reside. For 30 days. So, I'm not sure yet in regards to, so it's in a sense we're similar to Living Room in a sense. Living Room's a higher level of care. We're providing a service for individuals to leave Living Room, for instance, hypothetically, to step down into a program to provide them with long-term care so they have the chance to succeed in their sobriety, rather than putting them right into a recovery house and going to outpatient where they really have no life skills at all to learn how to take care of themselves, because it's a higher level and it's more of a stabilization program.
That was my question.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, how does this differ from a recovery home?
It's
That would be,
right.
Thank you.
So it is a fully monitored program staffed by our staff. Our staff is monitored by our clinical team, full communications. The patients will not be alone, the tenants will not be alone. We implement life skills to teach them how to really learn to take care of themselves without the use of substances so they can become independent. There's slow community integration, monitored by us whenever they're outside of the residence. So they're always with someone. There's no cars, there's no cell phone use.
And after if they successfully complete this with 30 days?
Minimum 30 days.
Or 45 days, whatever it is.
It all depends.
Do they go to a recovery home at that point?
They could, yes, or back home.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sue, something that I'm not hearing tonight I think is very important when we spoke. In my mayor report, I was going to bring up that we actually sat down for about 2 hours because we have a lot of questions and they were kind enough to actually reach out to us. And so I said, absolutely, we'll meet. But when we asked what you call this, because you're very clear it's not a halfway house, and it's not detox, but you did use the term partial hospitalization, and I'm just putting it out there because if I don't, there's going to be a lot of speculation that you're trying to cover up something, and I think everyone needs to know that term because that was what you said it was.
The treatment, the clinical treatment would be licensed at partial hospitalization. The housing, we are looking into, I know that there's new regulations with the state. We're up to par with them. We're very familiar. We're really not sure if it's going to be a certification or a license at this point. We will follow those regulations and abide by them, whether it's a cert or a license. So we're on top of that. We're in communications with the appropriate persons in regards to that as well.
And Ms. Shoemaker, can you tell us what level of professionals you're going to have there and how many people will be working in the facility? Projected, like in the facility at Morrisville. What's the plan for staffing? So
the plan for staffing is there will always be more than 2 staff members at that location at all times. We do rounds at the location as well when the tenants are there. So we do 15-minute rounds where they're walking around, they're in communication, they're engaging with everyone there. No one is just to walk off the premises. Of course, it's a voluntary program. This is not a mandated program. These are for people who want to get better. This is their choice, and so we're here to support them. So the goal is, if there is an issue where someone does want to leave, we have a protocol in place where we contact the clinical director, we contact the family members, we start to do our intervention so they don't just walk off the property. Now, we also met with the mayor, Dave Ravella, previous mayor, and also Chief McClay. It was suggested to us to put a camera system outside that would be monitored by the central office. So we would all be aware together, if someone walks off the premises, we're all working together with the police locally to help and intervene with that individual.
Okay. So those 2 staff members that are on site at all times,
Mhm.
are they like managers, like house managers, are they
There would always be
CNAs?
a house manager and there would always be someone available, CRS most likely.
Can I ask, how many
Certified
residents,
recovery specialist.
how many residents you plan on having at one time?
Well, no more than 5 unrelated in one unit. They are 3-bedroom.
And there's 6 units, I believe?
Mhm.
So you're talking about 30,
It's possible. Now, that doesn't, to be honest with you, and you can ask any other treatment center in any state you want, that census is usually not at capacity.
Okay, I have a question. So you have 6 units, you're going to put 5 people per unit. It's 30 people, and you're only gonna have two
No,
on staff.
minimum 2 at the residence, so even when they're not there, there's always someone that's at that residence monitoring it. So when it's full, when they're not in treatment and they're there, we will have, there's 6 units, most likely 6 staff members available.
So you would have 1 staff per unit.
Yes,
or a 5-to-1 ratio.
5-to-1 ratio, that's,
Okay, let's say one of the residents wants to go for a walk
cannot just walk off.
with the buddy.
Mhm.
Would the buddy be the staff
Would be
member?
the staff member.
Now, who would stay behind to keep an eye on the other 4 for that unit?
Yeah. Well, it's not, the staff members are not sitting in an apartment. We don't know exactly, I mean, we're not even there yet, but typically how it works is a staff member is present at the location, a few staff members are present at the location 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Now, to sit in an apartment, they're not sitting in the apartment, but they're doing rounds around the apartment complex. They're visiting, they're walking in, they're checking in to see how everyone is doing. Typically, the residents get together and they do more of engagement together. That's part of treatment, even though there's no services there. So they're actually sitting together, eating together, playing games together at that location. So typically, everyone is together for the most part. So it's not that they're stuck in this one unit, these 5 individuals, when they're at that location. I mean, they can walk through this residence and interact with other people there. So it will be monitored wherever our staff is needed to be, they will be present. But we're willing to work with you and work with the community on what's best. We don't want anyone to feel that they're at harm or that they're unsafe. So we're willing to hear what your suggestions are and work with you all in what's best to make you feel more comfortable, absolutely. So if you feel that if someone wants to take a walk with one of our staff members and you feel that we need to have someone that's on call to come in, we can figure something out in that aspect.
I just have a
We don't want to cause concern.
I just have a quick question.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, it sounds like you're a little unclear as to what exactly the certifications are with the state that you need to do this. Is this a new transition housing?
Transitional
Thing,
living
or-
facility, or if it would be, I mean,
So at this point, you're not sure what exactly the
well,
terms?
there's a bill in the House, are you aware of this, with recovery, with any type of recovery housing? So at this point, from what I was told by someone at the Commissioner's office, was that we're not sure yet if it's going to pass as being a certification or as a license. So as soon as they figure that out, we will abide by that regulation.
So does that mean you'll change what it is you want to do? Or you're just talking
No,
about
this is for any
designation that
recovery
you'll get?
housing component or a component that has to do with recovering addicts.
So you
We
have
are-
a plan in place and that's not gonna change based on
No,
what the state or the county?
I don't understand what you're asking.
She's asking,
Well, like I said, it didn't seem like you were clear as to what certifications you needed.
if your certification
Which
changes,
monitor-
will you be able to do methadone and other things?
They're not doing that
No,
anyway.
we're not
They said
doing
they're
that.
not doing that.
But if certifications change, would they change with those certifications?
We will abide by the state regulations when it comes to housing for anyone who's in recovery. In regards to monitoring, in regards to having someone there, whatever the state regulations are, I'm not very sure exactly what they are, and I know that there's something in the works in regards to a certification or a license. I'm not talking about treatment. This Crown Street is not, it's a housing component for treatment. There's no methadone, all of our centers are abstinent-based programs. We provide different types of treatment modalities, and what that means is we provide cognitive behavioral therapy, DBT, mature and mindfulness programs, smart recovery, 12-step recovery. The only type of, we don't do any medication-assisted treatment. So we're not going to change that if the state or the county asks us to, because that's not the type of service that we provide.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I just want to, that's not my question. My question is, it seems almost, I mean, you're saying a lot, but it seems like you don't know what it is you need to get from the state.
We're not sure if it's, exactly, it's still in legislation, we're not sure exactly what the regulations are. It's still up in the air, but there is nothing right now, and so there's something in the works, and so once that's put together, we are going to review that and abide by that based on the state.
Leah?
I'm sorry,
Can I ask a question?
sure.
Thank you, Madam President. I just wanted for you, if you would, to clarify, because when we spoke the other day, I got different information because everyone up here is doing math. They're saying 6 apartments, but you told us one of those will be left for staff. So
Yes.
if that's the case, that's a big difference. That's 5 patients. So I would like that clarified.
Yes, okay. I have not personally been in there yet, so.
The 6 units, and one of them will be for tech, so it's
Yes, so 6
times
units,
5 is 25.
25 residents, if we're at capacity, ever. And then one of them will be an office for staff,
Thank you.
and that is at the door.
Okay, and our manager would like to ask you a few questions.
Yeah, reference was made previously to contractors doing work at the property. Can you tell us what work is being done?
That is Gloria.
I think I alluded to it a little bit earlier from, I don't believe we need a new roof. I know there was a little bit of mold downstairs. I know there's a puddle where the pump is downstairs, and the plumber told me today I didn't really need to dig down 2 more feet. I just needed a different, the thing that goes in the toilet that goes up and down. No, yes. So it would drain. So we went over and it didn't work. And one of the breakers, they had to replace one of the breakers because the heat wasn't coming on in 3D. Around the outside, it's got holes in the wood. He said, should I patch it? I said, rip it out and replace it. So that's going to change. The windows are going to be capped. They're all going to be white. The brown windows are being pulled out, and they will be replaced with brand new white ones. And then the capping around the sides. And again, the fire, yes, I used to climb on one when I was little. The fire escape, we're going to brush off all the rust and make it black. It will be a gray building with a white trim, as far as I can see. And then there's a little bit of mold again in the basement, and then from the plumbing issue last week, we had to take care of that. So there is still standing water down there, which I had to wade through for the last 3 days. So that's being taken care of.
Thank you.
Can I ask you one more question?
Over here.
Yes.
Sorry.
You said that it would not be paid by Medicaid. Is this self-pay or is
Some
houses
self-pay.
funded?
Some self-pay, some insurance.
I'm sorry, is the council done asking questions at this point?
We have one more person that we'd like to introduce if we can, which we will be brief.
Okay, Mayor wants to ask something first?
Well, I didn't want to ask, I just wanted to make a statement that I can say personally, I didn't see that document that you referred to today, whatever was handed out, so I don't want you to come here thinking that we all have the bias and that we have this information, because I can tell you, I don't live in that neighborhood and I certainly didn't see it.
Absolutely, in no way, shape, or form do I, absolutely not. I know it was generated from the tenant in the building, and that's okay. Can we have one 10-minute person, and then we will
Yeah, we have a big agenda, so if we
I
can
understand.
move it along a little bit.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Brandon Novak. I'm a national business developer for Banyan Treatment Center. And I'm also a person in long-term recovery. The disease of addiction does not discriminate. Yale or jail, the White House or the outhouse, the results are all the same, and 1 out of 7 people will be affected. My mother was a nuclear physicist on the board of Mercy Hospital, 53 years of gainful employment, second longest employer in Mercy Hospital history. My brother, today currently, is an attorney that resides in the White House practicing pensions and benefits. I was a former professional skateboarder, the first skateboarder ever to be endorsed by Gatorade at the age of 14, traveled the world with Tony Hawk at the age of 16, private tutor flying with me. Later on, I ended up in these movies that broke box office records. After that, I became a New York Times top 10 selling author. On the flip side of that coin, at the age of 35, I walked into my 13th inpatient treatment center. I had lost count of outpatients and detoxes. My mother had bought me a plot. People taking life insurance policies out on me. I was on life support for 7 days. My mother had exhausted all opportunities, options, and resources and had nothing left to give to me. So she simply went to God with one prayer, and that prayer consisted of, God, please cure him, or kill me because I can't take it anymore. In theory and on paper, I was a very successful individual, had did things in life that people equate to success or happiness, and that some even dream of doing. In reality, walked into my 13th inpatient treatment center at 35 years old in Langhorne, Pennsylvania. Worldly possessions consisted of 8 scarves, 2 jackets, 3 socks, 1 stick of deodorant that all fit into a bag that doubles my pillow, and 4 cigarette butts that I dug out of a receptacle. I successfully completed that 90-day treatment center in Langhorne, Pennsylvania. Afterwards, I went to a 6-month program right here in Morrisville, Pennsylvania. From there, I got a job at Mary Ann's Diner in Levittown, Pennsylvania. I waited tables and I washed dishes. After the 6-month program here, I went to a recovery house in Levittown, Pennsylvania. I lived there for 1 year. From there, I wrote another book. That book came out 2 months ago. I have 3 more books to follow. I have the first ever addiction graphic novel coming out. I have a documentary going to the Sundance and Cannes Film Festival about my life and the disease of addiction. I came in here broken, homeless. I am now a productive, tax-paying member of society. I have a credit score of 726. I'm buying a home. My mother told me, the same woman that took a restraining order out against me when she prayed for my death, she called me a year into my sobriety. She said, Brandon, I hate when you come to visit. I said, why? She said, because I get so sad when you leave. I took her on a cruise last month. People rely upon me. People depend upon me. And 99% of the people that call me, they say, Novak, if you got clean, there's no reason why I can't. Can you help me? Morrisville helped me. Levittown helped me. Langhorne helped me. People believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. People loved me when I didn't love myself. People prayed for me when I didn't pray for myself. And I can stand before you today with 3 years of continuous sobriety without the use of a drink or a drug. And I want to thank you people and you residents who don't even know what you did for me for giving me a 13th chance. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to open up to a public comment at this time. I'll call the first one up on the list here. Ronald Gambach, I have to, Gambach, I'm sorry.
Is this on?
Yeah,
Okay.
you have to get close to it.
On the advice of counsel, who maintains that I have been known for some time to ramble and digress,
Yeah, and
I will read my prepared statement. And to be clear, my counsel is the great friend, wife, and now grandmother with whom I've had the privilege of sharing daily life for virtually 50 years. Month after month, year after year, Morrisville Borough homeowners invest tremendous amounts of time and hard-earned resources making improvements to their properties and residences. They consult the zoning ordinances, craft their plans, confer with borough officials, submit their plans for approval, modify them when required, pay their fees, and host inspections by the borough zoning officer. They do this in good faith that the ordinances enforced by borough officials are in place on their behalf, protecting their safety, their rights, and their investments. There are 23 residential zoning districts delineated on the borough zoning map. The area informally referred to as Morris Heights is the only R1 district among them. This R1 district comprises less than 4% of the borough. Anyone even taking the briefest of look at the zoning ordinance table of land uses will easily note that the only permitted uses in Morrisville's R1 zoning and are municipal park, fire station, detached single-family home, and various accessory uses. These accessory uses are limited to the aforementioned permitted uses and include such things as no-impact home-based businesses, signs, certain off-street parking, fences, etc. 705 Crown Street is a garden apartment as classified in the Bucks County tax records. As such, its use predates the borough zoning ordinance, and it is, therefore, a non-conforming pre-existing use. The borough zoning ordinance clearly states that a non-conforming use may not be changed to another non-conforming use. The borough zoning officer cannot issue a permit to proceed with any alterations or renovations that would change the use to anything other than garden apartment or one of the 3 permitted R1 uses. The borough zoning office cannot issue a certificate of occupancy on the 705 Crown Street property for any use other than that of the pre-existing garden apartment or one of the 3 permitted uses. Residents of Morrisville put their trust in borough officials to adhere to all the zoning and permitting procedures, monitor and request compliance, and to promptly exercise enforcement should violations occur. I have a copy of the zoning map, table of uses in my statement.
If everyone would just be patient for a minute, we just need a few minute break up here. I don't know if anyone else has to use the facilities. Would it be okay to take a 5-minute break? And we'll be right back. Thank you.
She doesn't come yet, she doesn't come yet. Yeah.
afraid if I,
Well, this is a new camera.
if I stop it, I have to start again.
Well, it can start. He's going to break it up in chunks anyhow when he posts it. You look okay. It says auto. It's not recording. I would just hit the record button again.
Okay.
When ready to go again.
Okay.
Yeah, you're okay. Because when he posts them, he has to put them in chunks because it's too much to start.
I see that red light flash and I think it's still on. It's still on because I paused.
It's on just for the monitor, but not for the recording part.
Okay.
You can always check with him when he comes back from the bathroom, though. Because this is a new camera, so it's a little different than the old one. But it looks okay.
I'm having such major technology with my email. Oh, you're not on the internet. Well, I am hooked up to the internet. And I sit and I wait, and all of a sudden when it said I had no connection to, email pops up on my screen. I think the problem is in my computer.
Well, if it's older, it could be.
Yeah. And I used to hear the kind of whirring sounds and I kept
Have you cleaned? Sometimes you gotta clean it.
Can we have council members return to the dais, please? Can we have council members return to the dais?
Can everyone be seated, please, so we can begin? Can everyone sit down, please, so we can get started? Thank you.